Welcome to the Morning Omelette. I'm James Trinkle Clements.
And I'm Justin Bobbitt.
Justin, today I want to talk about a Black Lives Matter candidate who won in Missouri. I'm going to save that for later because it's quite interesting and give an opinion on that and where it leads us in the upcoming election. So what do you have today?
I've got a few interesting things that I've come across. Those of you that have been receiving seeds in the mail will be happy to know that they've identified some of them. Most of them are vegetable, herbs, and flower seeds being sent from China. And if you haven't heard the explanation for it, it's not quite as nefarious as you would imagine. Originally, the State Department was freaking out because they were worried about invasive species. It's actually not near as sinister. Anyone who's sold on eBay or Amazon knows you live or die by your reviews, and a way to generate fake reviews is to generate fake sales. So what they've done, apparently, is send Americans tons of seeds claiming that they were jewelry, making fake purchases which cost the company nothing. And then they make fake reviews saying their jewelry is amazing and it's beautiful and it's everything that they dreamed of.
So this isn't the Little Shop of Horrors.
No. Nope, not quite.
No.
Though if that seed did show up, I would be hard-pressed not to plant that somewhere and see what happens.
Is today your birthday?
No, it's not.
But
it's someone's.
It's someone's. Well, I'm going to mention 3 birthdays. They're not with us any longer, but Lucille Ball, and we know all about I Love Lucy, Alfred Lord Tennyson, and, of course, Andy Warhol. So they don't have their ages, but today would be their birthday.
Some of the art of Andy Warhol it still captures, it just stops you.
It does.
It's beautiful. I did notice something in financial news that kind of blew my mind. You might remember taking pictures with a Polaroid camera.
Yeah, I do. Do I?
I've seen some of those, and I've pulled them. Their stock went from $2 a share to $60 a share.
I trade.
I'm sorry.
That hurts me.
But apparently, they are going to be manufacturing pharmaceutical chemical products for us, and they got a $650 million grant to do so, which every Kodak shareholder clicked their heels and ran straight to the bank, I assume.
Well, but can you imagine someone who retired from Kodak and probably has 100,000 shares? Ooh. Good for them.
Yeah.
You know, that was during the time when you went to work for a company and stayed there for 25 or 30 years. And they're living off that stock. Yeah. Now they're looking for a new boat or house.
And they've been looking at that stock for probably the last 2 decades. Like, this is terrible.
What have I done? I know. Let me talk about something that's really, really amazing. Boy with autism builds world's largest Lego Titanic replica. This thing is amazing.
And we'll be putting this on the screen for you so you can see it.
Yeah, and we all know how much parents hate Legos once you step on one. There's no pain like stepping on a Lego barefooted. But this is just incredible what this young boy did. And we're popping a picture as I speak up on the screen. It's amazing. It's over 6 feet long. 50-something thousand Legos.
I'm impressed not only by his action, but the fact that his parents knew this is something because that's not an inexpensive venture to build.
They probably have to sell it now to keep their house.
Exactly, but that's what made him happy, and they provided that for him, and hopefully it ends up. I actually watched 2 nights ago on Netflix the Lego House documentary. It's shameless Lego promotion. I mean, it's a self-made video, but I can't remember, is Lego Swedish or I can't remember where they're...
Swedish or Danish?
Danish. I believe that's Danish. It. Where the headquarters is, you can look at it on Google Earth. They call it the Lego House. And it looks from almost space, from like satellite imagery, like someone just stacked a bunch of Legos in a really cool pattern. And they display things like that. They have an area for kids to play with things, an area for... They call it adult fans of Legos, and all these cool art pieces, and there's a tree that's 4 stories high made out of Legos. It's incredible.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is an artistic medium that crosses every generation.
I wonder how many children who played with Legos became architects.
Yeah.
Because you can see building, you're doing something with your hands. My generation was erector sets.
Oh, I miss erector sets.
I love the erector. He had the motor, and then you had Lincoln logs and building blocks and things. I'm dating myself, but I helped Lincoln make those logs. I did. Okay, a lot of things we look up into the sky and we watch for: UFOs, rain, snow, sleet, hail. But there's something else we should be looking for. What is it?
Asteroids and comets. Yes, we've all seen the destruction videos where they slam into us. NASA actually keeps track of them, and as we would expect them to, they have Asteroid Watch. I'll put this on the screen for you, those that you're watching instead of listening, but it's the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They track all these items as they're coming towards us, and if you are a amateur astronomer, you might be able to catch some of them. It shows the size, the date when they're coming through, and the reason that it's important to track things like that is most of these will burn up in the atmosphere or pass us harmlessly. Some of them, if they do contact us, will be catastrophic. One of them in particular apparently is asteroid 29075, 1950. I'm going to guess they discovered it in 1950.
Yeah.
But they say if it did hit us, it would generate a tsunami with waves of 120 meters high across the Atlantic. Which would just take out the eastern seaboard, and
we could just look right out there at the ocean and we would disappear.
Just a blue wave.
Well, we're 6 blocks from it, but it wouldn't take long.
No.
It wouldn't be anywhere to run unless you had a big surfboard.
Yeah. Now, if I put on my floaties, that's not going to help.
No, it's not going to help. Not at all. I want to talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter. Cori Bush from Missouri defeated an incumbent, and they didn't think she had a chance. And this is just part of the movement that's in every major city in the country. And they said she's the most exciting candidate, the Democrats said this, since AOC. We know who that is. I hope not, because AOC is not an exciting candidate to me. Now, I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm an independent. But by electing activists, be it Black Lives Matter, which is far, far left of where the Democrat Party, in my opinion, should be, I'll make a prediction. This AOC, and people will look at it and say, if this is who we're going to elect, and I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about people who are on the fence, I believe, because of this, Trump will be reelected.
As long as the people that offered to give him a chance in his first election are still willing, I think there were so many people that said, let's give him a chance.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. If those people are willing to continue the chance, I think he's got it. It would be...
Well, and this, I think, sways it in people's minds now, because you mentioned Black Lives Matter. I got to tell you, people think of riots first now. They do. And said, okay, she's a proponent of that, whether she is or not, association. I don't know her. Maybe a great person. I have no idea. But the perception now with AOC and her Green Deal, which is absolutely crazy, even the Democrats say it's crazy. So I just think the mindset is, I don't want any more of that. I don't want any more of this, if you want to call it progressivism, people call it Marxism or socialism. We've got enough. We want to be more in the middle. That's going to hurt the Democrats a lot.
Well, and I totally agree. I really think that 90 to 95% of us sit in the middle watching like a bad tennis match, both sides scream at each other.
Yeah.
And we're all like, what? We employ you. Please work for us.
No, you can forget. We don't. Special interest groups employ them, and mainly who employs them is their own ego and their own self-gratification. And we've said it many times, how many times these people go into office and their net worth is 60, 70, 80,000 and come out, 12 years later and they're worth $5 or $10 million.
And then they're consultants for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and so it's a rigged system. I've often said, and I navigated through Social Security with my late wife, and the health care and finding the right balance of Medicare. It was weeks, months to navigate this. If our elected officials had to go through the same thing we did, it would be changed.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
They're in their ivory towers. They don't have any of the problems we have. They live protected. And then they're supposed to know what the common man's like. Cut out the BS. I don't believe it. I've never believed it in my 7+ decades on Earth. And you're proving me absolutely right now. There are very few statesmen or stateswomen that really put the people first.
Well, I have something for all of you that are dancing during quarantine watching TikTok videos. I'm sure if you're addicted to that app, you've heard that they're going to potentially ban it if Microsoft doesn't buy it. There is a reason for that. It's tit for tat versus the intellectual property issues that China has put us through. They shut down our consulate, we shut down their consulate, and this is just a continuation of that. But in the event you're addicted, NordVPN, you can live in France or China, wherever you'd like. Your internet can go outside of the United States. It's only $99 for 3 years, and what is it? It works on like 5 different...
I think 5 different.
Yeah.
I use it. You use it. It's on my phone.
On my phone, computer. It's on everything.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to, if you're addicted, you can't help yourself. And the reason that's stated that they're banning it, it does harvest a pretty decent amount of information from your phone. But I'm going to be honest, they all do. Every app that you click I agree to, you've agreed to give them so much of your information. And that's an example of it.
Well, on an earlier show, we talked about protecting your identity, which mine has been stolen and resold on the black web many times over. Had to change all my credit cards, all my personal. It's just a nightmare.
And you still get letters.
Oh, I still get letters.
Yeah.
Oh, we declined your card. And the reason my credit cards are being declined when other people are applying for them, the one thing you must do is freeze your credit. It's easy to do. All 3 reporting agencies go there and say credit freeze and do that. You can unfreeze it if you go to buy something. Please do that.
And that's an easy step too. It's easy to unfreeze.
Yeah, and that's when you pay for ID protection.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah, freezing.
And so you can do it for free.
Yeah.
So please do that, and you can't be compromised. Believe me, what can happen down the road, these things seem to reappear on your credit report, and they'll say, oh, well, you were late on this payment. You won't even know you've had a card if you haven't frozen it. Then you go to buy a house, buy a car. My credit rating is 750. No, it's not. It's 520. Yeah. Please be careful. Freeze your credit.
And you have to work in part of what makes it so aggravating is it's not like you're just going to one place to fix your credit. Like you said, you have to go to all 3 technically if someone has put a bad mark on it that's not yours.
Yeah.
You don't just fight one place. You're now going to 3 separate credit bureaus trying to figure out. It's a nightmare.
If you do it now, it'll save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And this thing will stay with me the rest of my life. Yeah. It'll be resold on the dark web. My Social Security number, birth date, they hacked into Equifax, of all people. I'm telling you to freeze your credit with Equifax. Mm-hmm. But they did hack into Equifax, but they couldn't hack in and get me for getting a credit card because it was frozen. So they couldn't pull my credit report. That's what it means by freezing your credit. If they don't have a credit report, a bank's not going to just indiscriminately give you a credit card like they used to mail them to you. Can you imagine what a field day that would be now? So again, please do that for yourself. Like to close with a quote. When I have a terrible need of, shall I say, religion, then I go out and paint the stars. Vincent Van Gogh. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on
Hacking the Truth.